respectable gnome is here. Hold it! Now don't lose your head, girl. Back there. Go, line up now. Girls are so silly. Don't you think so? No.
All right, let's just pump the brakes here for a second. I always try to be as objective as possible with these videos, but I'll be honest. I was really close to just writing this movie off. And then came the final 10 minutes. Or as one website I found put it, something for the dads.
On your mark. Get set. Go! Don't forget to head for the courtship.
This incredible sequence carries on for over 6 minutes. Every time you think it's coming to an end, it's not. The Gnome Mobile is like a Mary Poppins movie shot in another dimension. That other dimension being California instead of England. But the Mary Poppins kids are here, and they've still got British accents?
Well, how come if you're so rich, you drive a funny old car like this?
Gosh, is this even a British accent?
Yes, but how fast does it go?
I'm honestly not sure. I do love that the trailer and the title credits both refer to them as
those Mary Poppins kids, Matthew Garber and Karen Dautrice.
Talk about typecasting. This was apparently one of the last films Walt Disney was closely involved with. When director Robert Stevenson questioned the realism of the granddad's reaction to finding out that his grandchildren had been driving his car, Walt simply replied, "Take it from me, I'm a granddad. And if my 11-year-old grandson drove my prized Rolls Royce, I'd congratulate him." That's Uncle Walt for you. The film is based on an Upton Sinclair novel, the man famously known for taking down the meatpacking industry in the early 1900s. How in the world did Disney ever get involved with this? And what was the book about? Oh, environmentalism. That makes sense. Disney's take on deforestation isn't quite as scathing as Sinclair's was in the book, but they do address it.
Now calm yourself.
It was actually Sinclair that approached Disney in 1937 about making a film based on his book. But Walt Disney didn't see it as a good fit for an animated film, still promising that he would keep it in mind for a later project. 30 years down the road, I'm not sure this was what Sinclair had in mind.
She could be the one.
I wouldn't if I were you. Don't do it.
So don't bother to buckle your seatbelt, because this car does not have any.
Jasper, I thought I told you to keep out of sight.
I'm trying to, Mr. Mulrooney!
As we take a ride back into the redwoods of California. This is the Gnome Mobile. Let's kick things right off with the most surprising thing that I learned when I began researching this video. Walter Brennan stars as both the granddad and the old gnome Nobby. I watched this entire film with my wife, and neither of us ever picked up on that. So kudos to Brennan. The real trick in the transformation didn't just come down to posturing, but also dentures. Throughout his acting career, which includes multiple Disney films, Brennan was known for having false teeth, having lost most of his own teeth in an accident. He would often approach the role of his character with a simple starting point: teeth or no teeth. But for his dual roles as DJ Mulrooney and Nobby the Gnome, he got to play it both ways. Watching him portray a slightly unhinged gnome in a Disney movie, you might be surprised to learn that Brennan is the only actor to have ever won 3 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor. Starring in over 200 films and television shows, Brennan made his living on the big and small screens. And despite all that, he wasn't much of a moviegoer.
What's bothering you, Andy? Show these gentlemen out. Skedaddle.
Do you get to see many other pictures?
No, I'm not much of a picture goer. Isn't that a terrible thing to say? I've done probably a dozen pictures that I've never seen, that I was in. I haven't seen the Gnome Mobile yet that I did for Disney here a short time ago.
From what I can gather, Disney and Brennan were longtime friends, even beyond the movies they produced together. And this film really plays into that grandfatherly nature. It has a very pop taking the grandkids to the movies feel to it. Not too loud, not too exciting, minimal romance, and just wacky enough to keep the kids entertained. You're just gonna walk that off? Impressive. Now, I'm not saying that Disney is obsessed with the small folk.
Look, it's the rest of them!
But they had already made Darby O'Gill and the Little People just a few years earlier. In fact, the movie's special effects are direct relatives of those used in Darby O'Gill, such as forced perspective and oversized sets. I do have to admit that I love giant sets like these. I just don't feel like you see anything like this anymore. You can actually still find this interior car set, as well as the 1930 Rolls-Royce Phantom II from the film, at the Gilmore Car Museum in Hickory Corners, Michigan. The museum obtained the set through a friendship between Walt Disney and the Gilmore family. Taking a look at the film's director, Robert Stevenson holds the incredible distinction of having directed more Disney films than anyone else in the history of the studios. The Gnome Mobile was his 10th picture at Disney, placing it around the halfway mark of his career. He would eventually helm 19 pictures for Disney, some of my personal favorites being Blackbeard's Ghost, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and Johnny Tremaine, which was his first film at the studio. Oh yeah, and he did have that one other film.
Wait! Mary Poppins!
Stevenson wasn't flashy, but he was technically sharp, excellent with kids, and knew how to handle effects-heavy sequences. He was somebody that Walt Disney trusted. And even after Walt's passing, he continued to direct some of the studio's biggest films. I think if you look back at that period from 1957 to 1977, those movies have a definite Disney feel to them, and Stevenson was a big part of that. Now, if there is truly an underappreciated aspect of this film, it's the wonderful music. And I'm not talking about the Sherman Brothers song, which is okay by Sherman Brothers standards. No, I'm talking about the musical score composed by longtime Disney music director Buddy Baker. Baker is someone who is not mentioned nearly enough, especially when you see the amount of work he produced for the studios. He has created music for films, television shows, and some of the most iconic theme park attractions in the world.
Could you estimate how many shows you worked on during your, 28 years at Disney?
I think there was around 140 or 50 television shows. And I believe it's 56 or 58 feature films. And then all the park stuff. We sort of created our own sound at Disney. In fact, a lot of musicians, people would say, gee, what do you guys do out there that you don't have to see the picture, you know it's Disney. It's a Disney picture when you hear the music. And I don't really know what we did, but we did have our own sound out there. And even to this day, I can fall right back into it and get that sound, you know.
Now, I am an avid movie soundtrack collector with hundreds of albums in my collection. And do you know how many Buddy Baker scores I own? 0. Because there are none. For whatever reason, they just don't exist. Even The Fox and the Hound, which was a major Disney animated feature, never saw a proper soundtrack release. Baker was named a Disney legend in 1998, having worked almost 30 years with the studio. He also has a Main Street window at the Magic Kingdom in Florida. But despite all that, you can barely find this man's music. It breaks my heart a little bit. While we're on the subject of music, let's take a quick moment to talk about the film's vinyl selection. The Gnome Mobile saw a total of 3 releases: the full-length Storyteller album, a 45 featuring the 2 songs from the film, and the read-along album, which in a pleasant surprise also features both songs from the film. The Storyteller album is narrated by none other than Jasper the Gnome, Tom Lowell. Interspersed with Jasper's narration, you also have songs and dialogue taken from the film.
Hello there. My name is Jasper, and I'm a gnome. Well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you what a gnome is. I'd like to tell you my story, though, because it's quite a tale. Once upon a time, the woods all over the world were full of gnomes. But as more and more dudines came, that's what we gnomes call you humans, and cleared away the forests and chopped down the trees, the gnomes began fading away. One of the last and most beautiful forests still untouched was the giant redwood forest in California. Now, that's where I lived with my grandpa Nobby. There was just the 2 of us, no other gnomes at all. And as my grandfather got older, he began to fade away, too.
It's not that the Gnome Mobile is a bad movie, because it isn't. You have quality set pieces, good music, solid acting, and that Disney charm.
I still think it's Elizabeth's imagination.
And while most of the film was shot at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, you do have these beautiful forest scenes that were shot on location in Northern California. This was also one of the last Disney films shot in Technicolor, and I think it really pops, even today. But with Darby O'Gill coming out just 8 years prior, we had already seen most of these effects, and that movie put them front and center. The Gnome Mobile spends most of the film with the less interesting dudines. Yes, Disney tries to liven things up with a silly car chase and Nobby doing Nobby things.
Yippee! Yahoo! Yahoo! Yippee!
But this whole subplot where the gnomes get kidnapped just feels like straight filler. And once you've seen DJ Mulrooney come unhinged once, well...
I said they were kidnapped, and I mean kidnapped, stubborn old donkey. This is the end, and very rare. Right now. It's a climax!
Of course, the ending in the Sinclair book, where they discover that all the gnomes are doing manual labor in a quarry near Scranton, Pennsylvania,
That's what she said.
is much more grim. No, I'll take this any day of the week.
I take it all back, Grandfather. This is some car.
So until next time, my name is Jay. Thanks for watching.